PT Sports 84, back with another video. This one's going to be based on the NBA, more so than NBA 2K24, but I use 2K24 to kind of highlight the content based on the upcoming season. I'm going to integrate a little bit of 2K24 because I'm going to highlight who I think is a little bit underrated, overrated, maybe talk some position updates, things like that. But this is, mainly a NBA 2023-2024 season preview, predictions, those kinds of things. So jumping in with the first team, the Philadelphia 76ers. This happens to be my hometown team who I root for every year, who also tends to disappoint me a little bit every year as well. So they're a little bit unique because right off the bat, James Harden really doesn't want to play for the team. He wants to trade to the LA Clippers. Whether he gets that trade to the Clippers is remain to be seen. Daryl Morey doesn't really see the value in what the Clippers are offering. And then the Sixers can't, really afford to have a bad season either. What's going on, Hunter? Thanks for tuning in, man. But the real key to the team this year is going to be Tyrese Maxey, who I think shifts to point guard with Harden out. That allows DeAnthony Melton to start at the 2 guard spot. You have Patrick Beverley there to fill in the gaps as the backup there. So, Josh, I think definitely a breakout season for Tyrese Maxey. He's looking for an extension as well, so that factors in. 2K has Mo Bamba here to 76. I don't really see him playing as much as many anticipated with the signing. He's okay as far as a stretch big, but I'd rather see Paul Reed in there. I could definitely see a PJ Tucker trade along the way. That way it opens up more time for Tobias Harris at the power forward spot. We'll see. Outside of the young guys, you have Jaden Springer, who I think gets sprinkled some minutes early on. Paul Reed's going to be important, of course. Like I said, he's going to have to get the shooting from the outside down pat along with his rebounding. The two-way guys, as well as Philip Petrusev, I don't really see contributing a lot. Maybe little sprinkles here and there of minutes as the year goes on, but I don't expect a lot out of any of those guys. I do expect a lot of ball movement in Nick Nurse's system, so we won't see, hopefully, a lot of ISO Embiid. Kelly Oubre Jr. is going to be key off the bench. I think he's going to be a scoring machine off the bench because obviously he's going to have a high usage rate there. The over-under is 48.5 wins for the Sixers. Man, I have to go with slightly under at like 47 maybe. I think they're going to be 4th or 5th in the conference. I don't see them higher than that, honestly, with all the James Harden stuff going on. They're going to have to get something back out of a package for James Harden. If you go the Clippers route and you get Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, and some fill-in players, that kind of helps you as far as bench rotation, but it doesn't really do a lot overall as far as a scoring standpoint, and that's if they even keep those guys. We'll see. I'm not as high on the Sixers, unfortunately, as some, just because of the James Harden saga. Again, he sabotages the team. We'll see what happens. Milwaukee Bucks, obviously they get Damian Lillard. That was the prize of the offseason. The key for me is going to be the Middleton knee issue, whether he can stay healthy. He's sporadic in the lineup last year. Looks like he may miss some games this year, obviously for rest. You're going to have to get, production out of guys like Cam Payne off the bench, Jay Crowder, fill-in minutes. Malik Beasley is going to have a comeback season. He's going to start at the 2 guard spot. Marjon Beauchamp is a guy that I'd love to see develop some minutes. It's hard to peg what Adrian Griffin as a new head coach is going to bring to the team. I don't like that they lost Terry Stotts to begin the year or for the year after Damian Lillard came over. Stotts knows Lillard's strengths. Lillard trusts Stotts. it's just going to be different. You get the Giannis extension. That's a good sign that he wants to stay there. Obviously, Lopez is another year older. Does he lose a step? You got Bobby Portis Jr. He's a good, obviously, bench guy that's going to be a glue guy. I don't expect much out of guys like Robin Lopez, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, those kind of guys. I do expect Andre Jackson to somehow get in the rotation along the way. Defensively, he's already NBA ready, and I think he's really going to help. With Antetokounmpo, is he going to be able to change his game up and let Damian Lillard cook? You get the 3-year extension, and then it basically that's the end of Lillard's career, I would assume, around 36, 37. So we'll see. Obviously, Milwaukee is one of the favorites in the East. They have 54.5 wins. I'm going with the over, but I do think that the Celtics finish slightly higher than they do. I think Milwaukee gets the second seed just because I'm not sure about Middleton. Let's move on to the Chicago Bulls. They have, in NBA 2K specifically, they have a lot of work to do with the position changes here. DeRozan and LaVine need to go down a position. Kobe White is the starter at point guard. They got him at shooting guard. Like, there's a lot of stuff here that needs to be fixed. Overall, the Bulls need to be fixed, I think. It's time to move on from LaVine and DeRozan. Unfortunately, they brought back Nikola Vucevic on a contract over the summer. I don't really know how he fits with the timeline. Do they really even have a timeline? Patrick Williams has been hit or miss the last couple of seasons. This is the year for him. If he doesn't get it going, I don't know what else to say. He didn't get an extension. The reason why is because he was so up and down. I'm not high on this Bulls team at all. I do like Anrelop Batum as a two-way guy. I like his game, but I don't know that he plays enough to get any playing time of significance. Lonzo Ball is sitting there injured again for another year. That means that maybe we'll see Ayu Dosunmu get some development minutes, but they did also bring in Javon Carter. Javon Carter is not really a point guard that brings the ball up a ton, but he's a good defender. We'll see how that works out. The Bulls are slated at 37.5 wins. I have them about 35 to 37, so I'm going under, obviously. I think that they're barely a play-in team. I have them out of the playoffs, honestly. I just don't see it with the Bulls. Just not high on them. I don't really like LaVine. DeRozan has to slow down at some point. Basically your focal points of the offense are guys that you had last year. I say somewhere 10th to 11th, or, possibly high ceiling, 8th maybe, but I don't see it unless something really drastic happens to another team. Let's move on. Cleveland Cavaliers. Their big question mark is going to be what happens with Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, the questions are surrounding the team. That kind of weighs on the locker room, those kinds of things. Evan Mobley, I expect a bigger year from. A little bit of a down year last year offensively, but I think that he can turn it around this year. Not having Jared Allen for the beginning of the year potentially stings a little bit, but they did get shooting in Max Strus. You got Karis LeVert coming back off the bench. Ricky Rubio's out, personal reasons. Who knows if he plays. That opens up minutes for Ty Jerome, who I like, coming off the bench. And then you got to figure out Bang Bang Niang, where he fits into the role as far as him and Dean Wade vying for minutes. Did they have enough depth on the team? That's the biggest thing. I like them in the sense that I like them better than the Sixers or somebody like Miami, but they're right there in that 3 seed. So if they end up having to play Milwaukee in round 2, then that's not going to go well. Amani Bates got added to the roster this morning, so he's officially here. I like Amani Bates. I was sour on him at first coming out. My buddy Matt and my buddy Greg both were high on him. And then I figure that they, had to be on something. So I watched him a little bit more as the preseason went on. And I like his scoring ability. We'll see how that translates. You got to figure out the backup big man spot. Probably goes some games to Damian Jones, some games to Tristan Thompson until Jared Allen comes back. Don't expect a lot from either one. So yeah. Cleveland, like I said, their over under is 50 wins. I got them slightly under, about 49 wins or so, third in the East. Boston Celtics, I talked about them already a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how the lineups go. Porzingis should be a center here, and I think you move up Brown and Tatum a position. I think Horford ends up coming off the bench. White starts next to Holiday. I do like the Holiday addition. I like Hauser off the bench. I like Pritchard off the bench. Not too high on Cornette off the bench, although Boston seems to like him. I think they're a little bit thin still off the bench. They have to get some buyout candidates later in the season to help them for the playoffs. But overall, you know what you're going to get kind of with Boston from Tatum and Brown. I'd like to see Tatum less ISO, more spreading the ball around. And then Jaylen Brown, less trying to do it all himself. Dribbling has to improve as well. Porzingis has to stay healthy. I like what they bring. 55.5 wins is the over-under. I'm taking the over. I have them as best in the Eastern Conference. LA Clippers. Let's see if they get James Harden. That's the question mark right now. Terrence Mann won the power forward spot, so he has to be switched over to power forward. Can Kawhi and Paul George stay healthy? Can Russell Westbrook give a productive full season? What does Plumlee and Zubac's combo give you at the center spot? Do you get enough scoring off the bench with Norman Powell? And then how does Bones Highland fit in to the backup rotation as well? Those are all the question marks I kind of have for them. Don't really expect any of the young guys to play, even though Brandon Boston can fill it up. He's, off and on injured, so don't know that he gives a ton right off the bat. Clippers are 46.5 wins. I'm going to go right at the under by a half win. I'm going to go 46 wins. I think that the Clippers could fall anywhere from, they could be anywhere from 5th place as a ceiling, and they could drop all the way to 8th as a floor. So it just depends kind of where the injuries go and then how under control Russell Westbrook is as far as them as a team. Next up, this team is the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am disappointed to say the least. Ja Morant's suspension of 25 games. Now the full season injury for Steven Adams really dampers my expectations for them. Brandon Clark probably out for most of the year as well. Not looking great for them. That means guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. have to stay out of foul. He has to stay out of foul trouble. Desmond Bane has to take on more ball handling responsibilities and a little bit bigger role, which I think he can. Marcus Smart has to provide his defense and playmaking ability as a starting point guard right now. Derrick Rose looked rejuvenated in the preseason. We'll see if he can contribute. Santi Aldama is going to contribute along with Xavier Tillman now that Adams is out. Will we get another 50, 40, 90 season from Luke Kennard? That's a question mark. And then who steps up out of David Roddy, Zaire Williams, and John Conchar to fill that wing role until Ja comes back? I don't know. 46.5 wins for the Grizzlies seems high. I don't know that G.G. Jackson contributes, although I do like him. Same with Kenneth Lofton. I think he's got to lose a little bit of weight. He's undersized, only about 6'6", so don't know how much he can really play on the defensive side of the ball. With the Grizzlies, I have them anywhere from 8th to 10th in the West, Worst case scenario, they miss the playoffs. I just don't see that they make it enough unless they make a drastic move, and that's the disclaimer I'll put on my prediction. If they make a trade and get another center in there, like a Clint Capella or something, to fill a role, then things could drastically be different. But as of right now, I just don't see it with them. I like other teams better. Atlanta Hawks. This is another one where people have high expectations. I like Quinn Snyder as a coach. But again, we're going to see the same thing. Your turn, my turn, with ball handling from Murray and Young. Interesting that the Grizzlies, Josh, want to sign Dwight Howard. I don't know about that fit. We'll see maybe what happens with that. They signed Okongwu to an extension. That typically means that Capello will be on the move maybe by the trade deadline. DeAndre Hunter, he has to have a turnaround season. Bogdanovich has to stay healthy. I think Sadiq Bey actually comes off the bench behind Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, if anybody noticed last year, was a favorite of Quinn Snyder to end the year. Kobe Buffkin looked awful in the preseason. I didn't like what I saw at all out of him. He'll be behind Patrick Mills. AJ Griffin, I think, could give something on both ends that'll help them this year. I think he plays more of a bigger role overall. Nothing great out of the two-way guys. I don't think anything of a big role or anything. Seth Lundy can shoot it. Maybe he can carve out a role if Wes Matthews or Garrison Matthews don't really work out. Looking at the over-under for the Hawks, it's 42.5 wins. I'm taking the under. I have the Hawks. Actually, no, excuse me. I'm taking the over on the Hawks. I'm going to put them at 43 wins. I think they could be right there about 7th in the East. So a half win over, essentially. And that's because I like Quinn Snyder as the coach. I think he can do some creative stuff with this team. Miami Heat, another team that a lot of people talked about maybe even going back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see it. The big question marks for me are the point guard spot. Lowry's there. Richardson's the backup. Richardson's hurt to start the year. The power forward spot with Kevin Love, Caleb Martin, potentially Jimmy Butler sliding up. And, that just gives me question marks. Jovic and Jaquez, I think, play a good role for them. Where they fit in the team overall, scoring or anything like that's to be determined, but I think they get in the rotation. And then Tyler Hero, I think, has a bounce-back season because he's going to have – or an increased season, I should say, not bounce-back, because I think he has a chip on his shoulder. And then Bam Adebayo is actually my Defensive Player of the Year pick. I think he has a phenomenal year. The Heat are slated at 46.5 wins. I'm going to have them at 45 to 47. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to have them at about 45. I think they finish right there at the 6th spot, potentially. We'll see what happens. Charlotte Hornets. What's up, MJ Wizards? How you doing, man? Hope you're well. Been checking out your roster as it's coming. Anybody that does not know MJ Wizards, he's doing a Kobe era roster. Make sure you go to his Twitter, his YouTube page. Check that out. He's basically fixing up all the teams with missing players, etc. I'm waiting on it to finish so I can add those guys, some of them to my own custom roster, and then edit some different faces in and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. But yeah, go check it out. The Charlotte Hornets, I am not high on the Hornets at all. Miles Bridges, his suspension already has been all over the news. Then you got injuries to Bouknight and Ntilikina. Nice. Appreciate it, MJ. Almost done with the Kobe era. Nice. 25 teams are ready. Okay, awesome. Good to hear. The Hornets, everything's going to bank on LaMelo. because he's going to have to stay healthy this year. He's going to have a really resurgent season. Do they trade Gordon Hayward because they got to play Brandon Miller? PJ Washington got a contract, so does he live up to that? Does Mark Williams produce this year? A lot of question marks. I don't think Cody Martin's going to be ready for the year either. What does Nick Smith give you off the bench? I don't know that Amari Bailey may be the only one that plays out of the two-way guys. We'll see. They're slated for 31.5 wins. I have them at the under. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the East. I just don't see it with Charlotte at all. We'll see, though. Utah Jazz can go either way. They can try to win, or they can try to not win. I think they got to figure out their point guard spot. I love Keontae George. I think he's their point guard of the future. None of their two-way guys are going to play, really. Maybe sprinkle minutes for Josh Christopher. That's about it. I'm high on Chris Dunn. I think Chris Dunn should have been the starter at point guard, but it looks like they're going to start Horton Tucker at the point guard spot, and then Sexton comes off as the sixth man behind Clarkson. Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler make up your starting lineup. I think Markkanen keeps his improvement from last year. Kessler improves defensively. Would like to see a shot out of him, maybe even deep mid-range or three-point eventually. Collins is the one I'm worried about, standing still in the corner. I saw that in preseason. I hope it's not going to carry over to the regular season. Ochai Agbaji played the small forward and power forward all preseason, so he'll need to be switched in 2K. They're slated for 35.5 wins. I have them at the over at 36. I think that they could make some noise for the play-in. Don't necessarily know that they get into the play-in, but they could be right there trying to push for the play-in. So their ceiling obviously would be a little bit higher, but I think they just narrowly miss the play-in. Sacramento Kings. Can they repeat on last year's success? De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, I have no worries about them. I think they repeat what they did last year. I think that Keegan Murray is going to be the key for them. I love Keegan Murray. I want to see what happens with Kevin Huerter. He was kind of battling Chris Duarte before Duarte went out with injury. Huerter is like kind of streaky, so you just never know with him. He looked really down in the interview. He was talking about getting benched for Duarte. Then Duarte gets hurt, so who knows? Sasha Vezenkov, I love his game. He's a three-point shooter. Doesn't really go off the dribble a lot, but I think that he's really going to help them once he can get in the rotation and stick. The two-way guys, Slauson, look decent in the offseason or in the preseason. I like Colby Jones as well. I think he can carve out a rotation role eventually. We will see. 44.5 wins is the over-under. I have them slightly over. I'm high on them. I think they could finish, all the way up to third in the West again, potentially. I'll have to kind of really critique where I put them. I think they could be realistically fifth or sixth in the West. I'm going to do my written standing predictions in a couple hours. I'm still kind of deciding on a couple teams in the West just because it's so close with wins and stuff like that. But I like Sacramento again this year. Knicks. Looking at the Knicks, Brunson's going to have another year. Usually Randall has an off year after he's had a good year. Can he repeat his success? Not quite sure. We will see. Josh Hart playing power forward. Will that wear on him? We will see. Quickly, can he have another productive year? Grimes is one of my favorites. I think he has a really good improved year. Out of the two-way guys, I don't really expect a lot. It's Tom Thibodeau. Don't expect him to play a ton of guys outside of his regulars. 45.5 wins for them. I could see it just slightly over. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs again. probably fifth seed, maybe fourth seed, depending where the Sixers fall. We'll see. So on the Knicks. I'm not a big RJ Barrett fan, so it is what it is. Lakers. This is a team that could be great based on the offseason acquisitions, or they could not be great. 47.5 wins for them. I am taking the over. I think they finish in the top 3 or 4. LeBron, obviously. AD's health is key. Can Russell contribute consistently? Austin Reeves, does he continue his improvement from last year? And then what's interesting is Prince is starting the year at small forward, and Hachimura is actually backing him up. We'll see what happens. Cam Reddish, I'm kind of out on him. Every time he shows a flash, he ends up, crashing and burning. Max Christie, I am high on. I think we're going to see a bigger role as the year goes on for him. They seem to like Jackson Hayes as well, contributing in a big role. So we'll see what he can do, along with Christian Wood, who, many question his defense and things like that. Gabe Vincent, I like that signing. I thought that was crucial for the Lakers. So we'll see. Solid year ahead for the Lakers. Orlando Magic. Man, they're hard to peg because I like guys like Banchero, Wagner, Carter, Fultz, Suggs. But then you got role guys you got to fit in like Ingles, Harris, Isaac, Anthony, along with playing your 2 draft picks in Black and Howard. So it'll be interesting to see which direction this team goes. They're slated at 37.5 wins. I'm going slightly under 35 to 37. I think they missed the play-in. Next year will be their year, barring any big trade this year that can kind of set them over the hump. Dallas Mavericks, another team I'm not high on. I just don't like Jason Kidd as a head coach at all. I never have, even when he was in Brooklyn and Milwaukee. They're slated 44.5 wins. I definitely have them under. I actually have them barely making the play-in or right out of the playoffs. I just don't see them as a lock for a playoff team. Luka having the injury right off the bat worries me. Kyrie sabbaticals worry me. Josh Green not being that great offensive. Same with Grant Williams not being great offensive worries me. Are you starting Powell? Because that's a Jason Kidd favorite. Where does Lively fit in? Can he stay out of foul trouble? Olivier Prosper, I was high coming in. He stunk in the preseason. It's going to take him a while to adapt, I think. Jaden Hardy, I don't think plays enough because you do have Exum on the team along with Seth Curry. So we'll see. I mean, a lot of roles have to be defined here, and that's the big question mark. I'm just not high on Dallas. Brooklyn Nets. I like the Brooklyn Nets if you get a bounce back year from Ben Simmons, who is actually the starting point guard. They have to shift everybody up. Mikal Bridges would shift to small forward, Cam Johnson to power forward. I love Bridges and Cam Johnson. Looking at Dinwiddie plays off the ball now. How does that work out? The over-under is 37.5 for them. I have slightly over. I definitely think that they at least get in the play-in, if not one of the last playoff spots. I love that Harry Giles made the team. Really, really going to be good for them. Role players like Lonnie Walker, Royce O'Neal will do their thing and definitely contribute to wins. I'm not high on Jacques Vaughn as the head coach, but it is what it is. I just think that they're better than other teams like Toronto or Orlando, those kinds of teams. Denver Nuggets, last year's NBA champs. Obviously, you know what you're getting out of your stars, so I don't really have to go into detail there. Christian Brown, I think, has another improved year, takes another leap forward, but also Peyton Watson takes a leap forward and really helps them overall. Zeke Nnaji just got his extension. So where does he factor in as far as playing time, especially in the power forward position? Backup minutes kind of open. They are slated for 53.5 wins. I think they're over. I really like them as a team. I think they could finish first in the West again. Definitely, they're right there with Phoenix as far as I'm concerned. I do like Jalen Pickett and Hunter Tyson as guys to get sprinkled into the rotation this year. But Julian Strother is going to be the one that is a lock for the rotation for most of the year, as I think he really is going to show his development skills very, very quickly. Indiana Pacers. This is another hard team to peg. You got guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner. Excuse me. Where you know what you're going to get, but Bruce Brown comes over. Obviously, he's going to start. Mathurin starts at the 3, so they need to switch his position. But the question marks are like Toppin and Brown. How do they ultimately fit in to the team? And then Hield, is he traded or not? McConnell and Nembhard battle for minutes in the backcourt. Neesmith, Nwora, and Jalen Smith battle in the on the wing for Nwora and Neesmith, and then Jalen Smith is battling for minutes up front. Indiana, I think they're pegged for 38.5 wins. I think they're right at about 38. I do like Ben Shepherd. I just think that they'll be a play-in team ultimately. Jarris Walker, like his game as well. I think he'll have a big-time year as it during the second half. New Orleans Pelicans, another interesting team overall. What they're going to do. Injuries to Alvarado and Murphy kind of hurt a little bit. Alvarado not majorly injured, but Murphy is. I think that hurts them some. I like Jordan Hawkins coming in, get some minutes as a rookie. Herb Jones and Valanciunas, along with McCollum. I could take or leave him. The key is going to be the health to Zion. What does he bring when healthy? And then with Ingram, he has to improve his shot selection. 44.5 wins. I'm going slightly under 40, anywhere from 40 to 43 in total. I think that they make the play-in or don't make the playoffs. I don't think it's a lock. Let's see. Detroit Pistons. Another team decimated with injuries. Bogdanovich is out 4 weeks. Monte Morris is out 3 weeks. And Isaiah Livers is out for 4 weeks. That means that Asar Thompson will start at the 3. Likely means that Cade will get paired with Killian Hayes in the backcourt as well. Jaden Ivey, 6-man off the bench. With Detroit, it's just hard because Cade shot decent in the preseason, but didn't wow anybody either. They are slated for 27.5 wins. I think they can get to 28 to 30 ultimately just because of Monty Williams as the head coach. But I think over, under, I mean, it could go either way. Like I said, if they can get some consolidation, like get some pieces for, like move Wiseman, Burks, like those guys, and get some different pieces in there, maybe the team looks a little different. Raptors, another team that's hard to peg. Now that they have Van Fleet on the Rockets, they basically have Siakam, Barnes, Schroeder, Pirtle, and Siakam, Barnes, Anunoby, Pirtle, and Schroeder. Pirtle's one that I'd watch for having another good year. I like Barnes. Barnes is playing the 2, so they need to flip-flop him and Anunoby. They are slated for 36.5 wins. I'm going to put them slightly over. I think they could vie for a play-in spot for sure. I love Jalen McDaniels. I think he'll contribute right away. Somebody like a Grady Dick is great to cheer for, but I just don't see him contributing a ton overall. Not at least in his first year. Houston Rockets, new head coach, new philosophies. We'll see what happens, but I still think that they're hovering around the 31 to 34 range. It just all depends. And I'm just looking just to make sure. 31 and a half wins is the over under for them. That's tough. Because I like Cam Whitmore. I like Amen Thompson. I like Jabari Smith. I'm not a huge Jalen Green fan, but I like Van Fleet. I like Sengun. I'm going over. I'm going to go slightly over for Houston. 32 wins. I think they're going to be better than expected overall. Same goes for the San Antonio Spurs. Wembanyama is just a monster. Really, really enjoyed watching him in the preseason. I think they're definitely over the 28.5 wins. I think 30 is easily obtainable. I like Jeremy Sohan at the point guard spot now. Devin Vassell is one of my favorites to watch. Me and my guy Matt are really high on him as well. None of the two-way guys I don't really think play. They're going to kind of develop the key core that they have, but I think better than expected for the Spurs. Some bad nights, but better than expected. Phoenix Suns, one of my favorites in the West, but they have to stay healthy. It's not looking good right off the bat. Bradley Beal missing game one, possibly Booker missing game one. They don't really have a deep bench either. I don't know. 52 and a half wins is the over-under. I can go say they're going to win 50. So I'm going to go under. We'll see how it shakes out rest-wise for Durant and stuff like that because I want the team to be healthy come playoff time. Oklahoma City, a team that's really developing, has done a great job. They're slated at 44 and a half wins. I personally think it's going to be under. I just don't think they have enough scoring from that standpoint to really make that big of a difference. I'd like to see Keontae Johnson play since he had that heart issue last year in college. And then some of their guys like Misic, I expect to adapt pretty quickly. Holmgren I have on the all-rookie first team. Big jump from Jalen Williams I think is coming. Josh Giddey, I think he's going to be able to make more with Shai Gilgeous off the ball. I like the Thunder team. I just think that 44.5 is just a little tiny bit high for them. Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards does not mince words whenever he's interviewed, so it's going to come down to how Towns and Gobert fit overall, but we will see. That's the key to the team is how do they adapt to help Anthony Edwards. 44.5 wins is the over-under. Slightly over, I think they can make the playoffs. I personally have them in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range, somewhere in there. Like I said, a little bit later today, I'll have my written predictions out on Twitter once I finalize kind of the order that I have some teams in. Portland Trailblazers, it's all about development. That's why I think Malcolm Brogdon will eventually get moved. Anthony Simons is going to be their best player this year. You're going to look for Jeremy Grant to score in bunches, Scoot Henderson to adapt quickly, score and find guys throughout. You got some other guys in here as well, in Thibault, Sharp, that can play key minutes, and so I'd like to see what Sharp can do throughout the year. Their over-under is 28.5 wins. I'm going under. I just don't think they get enough wins. I don't like Chauncey Billups necessarily as a head coach per se, so it's not my really favorite team. But we'll see how it goes for them. Really just looking at development of Henderson, Murray, Walker, Kamara, who I really like, Rupair, those kind of guys to get big minutes. So we'll see. Thibault's going to start at the small forward, so that'll give you some defense. Golden State Warriors, another team that's hard to figure out, but I'm high on. Draymond's out to start the year, so that'll let Chris Paul start from the get-go. But ultimately, I think Paul's better off the bench as a change of pace guard. Over-under on them is 48.5 wins. I have them over. I think they're going to finish in the top 4 for the West, barring a major injury. I like a healthy Gary Payton. Vets in Saric and Joseph. And then you got a improved Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. I think that mix of guys really helps Golden State kind of mix up lineups throughout the year to stay one of the top teams in the West. Last but not least, my final team is the Washington Wizards. This team is going to be a mess. Injuries already throughout the guard spot. Johnny Davis, Landry Shamet are hurt already. That's going to give a ton of shots to Jordan Poole, who's not going to be shot to shoot. Should be a shooting guard here. Kuzma should be a power forward. Kuzma and him are going to trade off who's shooting, I think, with Tyus Jones, kind of getting everybody involved. Gafford picking up the pieces, and then Kispert coming in wherever needed as a shooter off the bench. Their over-under is 24.5 wins. I think they're right about 25, so I'm going to go over in wins. It's all about development. Koulibaly is my favorite on the team by far. I think he's going to have an outstanding defensive year, really get passing lane steals and such. So really look forward to that. Looking at NBA awards, it's hard for MVP to really look at overall. I mean, Jokic is going to be right there. Tatum is going to be right there. Luka, if he's healthy, is there. Giannis again. Embiid, of course. We'll see. I don't really want to lock in MVP to Jokic, but that seems like that might be just based on the regular season. Him or Tatum. Maybe I'll lean Tatum having a really good year and getting it. I already named Defensive Player of the Year. That's Adebayo. Rookie of the Year is Wembanyama. If it's not going to be Wembanyama, it's going to be Scoot Henderson or Chet Holmgren. I love all three of those guys as well. Most improved, I could see Austin Reeves getting most improved. I could see somebody like Tyrese Maxey getting most improved. Just for, having bigger roles for the team. I just like those guys. It's kind of my pick. Looking at it, I think overall, Noel's age needs to be fixed. Okay, I saw it, Hugo. I'll look at it. Thank you for letting me know. Cade Cunningham's another most improved. Jalen Duren is most improved. Devin Vassal's another one that I think is going to take a big leap. He could be right there. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to in the Eastern Conference, just wrapping it up because I got to go pick up my son in just a few minutes. So I got to wrap this up. Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's going to be Bucks versus Celtics. Western Conference. Ooh, if healthy, the Suns make it, and they play the Nuggets. If the Suns aren't healthy and they don't get there, I could see the Nuggets going against somebody like the Lakers or Clippers. Just all those teams, so much depends on health. It's hard. I'm going to say Nuggets and Suns. And then the finals, I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks to the finals out of the East. And I'm going to go with Phoenix Suns if they get there for the West, and then the Milwaukee Bucks end up getting the NBA championship again. Just going out on a limb. That could all change in 2 hours from now. When I make my predictions, I want to kind of have them out by like 6 Eastern on my Twitter. So go look at that there. I'll have them in order how I think everybody will finish. And then maybe I'll change up some awards as well. I got to think on it a little bit more, but I just wanted to kind of do just a basic season preview there. I'm going to look at something real quick. So Noel is 34. He needs to be changed to 24. Okay, I got it. Put that on my feedback list. There's a couple other things like Malcolm Brogdon changed his jersey number to 11. That's got to be updated and things like that. So I'm sure I'll catch some other things. Hugo, if you can, man, if you find anything, because you're really good at all that stuff, hit me on Twitter. I mentioned it last video. I'll mention it again. Hit me up and let me know if there's anything missing. Or you can comment just under the YouTube video. Let me know some things as well. Oladipo, I don't know his number. Oladipo's got to be added to the Rockets. I do know that. I don't know what his number is per se, so I'd have to look. I think it was on their training camp roster. They had his number, but I'm not sure exactly. Or not training camp, the opening night roster, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look again. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Go check out my video I did earlier on the official roster update for opening night. It's got all the 2K added players. I went in depth on that and did a video. So really want to get the numbers up on that one as high as I can. And I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a opening night recap video tomorrow. As 2K will probably have a light update, I would assume, to fix a couple things tomorrow. So I'll recap the couple games that happened tonight on opening night. Hope everybody enjoys opening night of the NBA season. Thanks for following along. Appreciate all my subscribers. Those that haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe if you like the content. Also, make sure everybody you're hitting that like button as well. It really helps me in the YouTube algorithm. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.